King of Podcasts here. Thanks for joining me for another Wrestling is Real podcast right here. If you will, I really could use your help throughout this quarantine time, trying to make sure I can go and pay the bills and also do more things to make more content that you all love here, whether it's be on this podcast, the Broadcasters Podcast, or my When I'm Not Podcasting channel, which is over on YouTube. So by all means, please feel free to go and help me out if you would like. You can go to my special Amazon link, kingofamazon.com. That's kingofamazon.com. And you're just buying stuff for Amazon and I get a commission for it. And as much as you can, because they've been cutting commissions a lot. Just a thought, it would be really helpful. Or you can also just help me out through PayPal or Cash App. PayPal is at King of Podcasts. My Cash App is at King of All Podcasts.
King of Podcasts proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us. Brought to you by kingofamazon.com. Go to kingofamazon.com when you do your shopping for Amazon to help the King of Podcasts. Shop for Amazon at kingofamazon.com.
So here we are in quarantine, and WrestleMania season is well behind our rearview mirrors 3 weeks ago. And honestly, we're in such autopilot with the off season, it's crazy. Yeah, you put on the gimmick of seeing Triple H come out for his 25th anniversary. They milked that for a SmackDown and a Raw. Ugh. And then Money in the Bank, we're building up for those matches. And I'm like, okay. But really, nothing special of that. And honestly, people are complaining about the NXT stars that are just happen to be in the Performance Center that are not going to make it to the main roster anytime soon, or not getting looked at too much. And they're getting shot down, right? So people don't like that happening to some of those stars. I get it. Meanwhile, NXT, for those of the WWE faithful, are trying to prop up the shortcomings of Raw and SmackDown because, well, let's talk about Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross, TikTok. Yeah, right. But again, and I know everybody wants to go ahead and say, hey, don't start knocking it because they're going to screw it up. Listen, NXT is under the WWE banner. And really, when they've had certain characters, they've had some good brooding characters they brought on board that, they might not have gotten the play that the faithful, established fans really enjoy from, say, Punishment Martinez they brought on board. They haven't really felt much for him yet, right? So Karrion Kross, we could talk about how the gimmick right now has been kind of given here. It's still very one-dimensional. Apocalypse, this kind of certain guy, they have to make him stand out in the crowd. And when they've had these types of characters, how good are they with this? I mean, listen, it's a great couple together. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to seeing Scarlett and Killer Kross work together, because they never did that before. At least not, except for Mexico, I believe. So we already know how Killer Kross can wrestle. I mean, really, WWE just needs to go ahead and let him just do the gimmick he knows how to do without any necessary prodding from creative. They let him do that, he's going to be great. It's a gimmick you really cannot screw that up. And they can, because this company has been capable of doing that, but I would like to think they're not going to. I want to give them one more try to say, you know what, you're not going to do it. But man, I'll tell you, I can't help but be cynical about this team, about this company, because of what they're doing. Because there's nobody right now in NXT they're going to put a jet pack on and really push out there, are they? Not really. Like, we see what they're going to put out there for next week. They got a bunch of matches ready to go for NXT next week, which is good. You got a lot of things that are getting all set up, which is nice. But really, next week, they are jam-packing the whole card. Io Shirai and Charlotte Flair, they set that up. Adam Cole against Velveteen Dream for the NXT title. Gargano and Dijakovic and Finn Balor will appear. So that's stack it up. That's hot shot book NXT, which is what they're doing. What else can they do? They're in a race to try to keep themselves in the ratings war right now, although everybody has taken a hit in the ratings. But they're trying to. Because remember, they did get a couple of weeks where they got a bump, a post-WrestleMania bump that did help them out. They got that for the week after WrestleMania and the week after that. But then they lost to AEW this past week. And I expect AEW to win again based on how things are going. And don't get me wrong. I mean, it looks NXT can only do so much, but it's still considered the third brand. And people are going to treat it as such. And what's funny is the perception. Because the establishment fans, they're still sticking to Monday nights, the very core of the core audience. But right now, they're hurting. And the ratings have gone down again. They're not even pulling 2 million viewers now. And that's been a couple weeks straight. After WrestleMania on top of that. So Triple H coming back, that's not working. And the thing is because there need to be things that they're doing to help stand out. Like just putting out matches with no crowd is not working. But again, they're just kind of just playing along and going autopilot right now until they can start doing something more with some actual crowds. I think that's what they're trying to do. They really are just playing, playing with the cards they're given and doing that. Meanwhile, I'm going to talk about the other companies tonight because of what they're doing so well. Because I've gotten more entertainment and more enjoyment out of watching MLW, AEW, and Impact. I've been a little bit behind on Impact Wrestling, and I wanted to get and catch up. And because of the quarantine, that gave me some time to catch up. I have not gotten the chance to watch 2 weeks of Rebellion, which I need to go and watch. But I more or less know what's been going on. I know that Tessa Blanchard did not defend the title, or she's not working right. Or I don't forget what the whole story is. I know she wasn't working the show as of yet. And then Moose came out claiming now to be TNA World Heavyweight Champion again. So giving Moose the belt is a nice gimmick to go ahead and start off with, which is cool. I didn't get a chance to see what was all being done. I do like the progression of Sami Callihan and this ICU character. I actually like that. It's kind of playing off the character that they were trying to put together, Solomon Crow. Or wasn't it Solomon Crow that was going to be in NXT? Wasn't it the original plan? And so they did it with Sami here. They took the idea that WWE was going to go with, and they did it better. Right? That's what they did. They took a gimmick that NXT came up with and made it better. And I mean, I'm pretty sure Sami Callihan already had this role beforehand. I don't know the whole backstory of Sami Callihan prior to being on TV here in NXT or Lucha Underground or NXT or Impact Wrestling. Right? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But for what it's worth, wrestling Twitter's quiet. There are a few people kind of a little rustling about Karrion Kross. Okay. Other than that, not much else. NXT hasn't been getting a whole lot of buzz from what I see. I don't see much when it comes to discussion about Raw or SmackDown. I mean, we're going to get the gimmick of the corporate ladder, which we talked about last week, which, listen, that's a good gimmick. But who's coming on that's going to be really standing out, that's going to be really interesting to watch coming up that would win the briefcase? Who would it matter if it did happen? And I don't know who that would be. I'm not getting any kind of feel where I feel like anyone's going to stand out. That's going to be, Drew McIntyre, he is solidified as champion right now. And it's with Seth Rollins, it'll be fine. Having that match is just fine. Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, while they're starting it off early, is just fine. But they're not making a whole lot of focus on it either. They're not spending a whole lot of time. Like the Drew McIntyre segments, they're spending 8 minutes with him at the end of the night, unless they put Drew out early. But again, they're spreading it out so much. When Drew's out there, they need to put him on TV some more. And they need to be doing some more things where there's a little more than just the backstage stuff. Because Raw, they're just running the show like it would normally do in a live arena. It doesn't even matter, because the thing is, they're acting as if they're not even changing their script. They're basically running. It's like running a stage play, and they're just running through dress rehearsal, and they're just doing it like they would do any other show. They're doing it like a house show. It's like even the people that come out, when you see Street Profits or others coming out, you're just letting it come out like they normally do, and that's about it. And what's funny too is when I look at, last week you had Viking Raiders doing Carpool Karaoke, which they never follow back up with, and gave them a reason to be on, and it sucked. I didn't see much else going on. Right? So what else is there? Well, a lot of focus on the trio of Angel Garza, Austin Theory, and Andrade. A lot of focus. Okay. Now, I will say one thing. Zelina Vega, a.k.a. Rosita, a.k.a. Thea Trinidad, a.k.a. Aleister Black's wife, she is a shining point when it comes to WWE. Honestly, I mean, she is the reason. She is the glue that makes all those three guys relevant. Because Angel Garza by himself or Andrade by himself, no. Zelina Vega she's arguably one of the best valets that we've had in years. She does her role so well. And listen, she's also a good wrestler. But who knew she was going to do so well in this role? Because, I mean, that is what the manager's supposed to be. I mean, she fits it so well. She does have Andrade as a U.S. champion. And I think having Angel Garza and Austin Theory be the guys that will go after the tag titles is where we need to go and see them go next. It would be a good time to go and see them actually become tag team champions. Take the belts off the Street Profits. They need to go and do that match, whatever that's going to be. There's a good crew right there, and they haven't been given any traction, but I like Austin Theory in the group. There's not much to them, but that's the problem. They're kind of just milquetoast. They're good wrestlers, but really, I mean, Angel Garza does has the tear off pants, which he hasn't done that in the last couple weeks, but that's like his one gimmick. And like the pretty boy and, now flirting with Charlie Caruso in the back. Almost good. Other than that, there's not much else. But she's doing really well. Exceptionally well. For what there's worth, I mean, people are praising her right now. She deserves the praise. There's not many people to really talk about. And that's the biggest problem. Like, what wrestlers do you see right now that are really getting some traction out there? There isn't. When it comes to Raw and SmackDown, I really feel like Zelina Vega is one of the shining parts of the whole show. I mean, looking forward to seeing her out there with her people in the ring, with her entourage, her stable, if you will, because she is a stable. She has a family here, and they're interesting when they are seen on TV. I'll give them that, and they're getting a lot of time as well. You can see that. So if it's a Paul Heyman thing going on in the back and he's putting this together, they're giving him a lot of time to be seen out there, a lot of exposure, a lot of time out there. That's good. Now, could Andrade be a part of the Money in the Bank tournament and actually just be one of the people that will eventually take on and really take on and get to be Money in the Bank briefcase holder? That can very well happen. And I think that would be a really good thing to do. They should absolutely do that. Now, what else can we say that is actually kind of shining points and positive things to talk about? Don't tell me the Newly Bros segment, because that sucked. Karrion Kross, we've only seen bits and shimmers of hope so far. We haven't seen much else. Okay, what else? Who else do we have from WWE that's really giving us something that's like really shine about? Now, Drew McIntyre, yeah. Well, they've already got him pushed up. Okay, can't tell me Nia Jax. Nia Jax hurting people, and she's getting her and Tamina getting pushes. It's just same old all the time. Jinder Mahal coming back. This is basically FU period of WWE. Now, Liv Morgan winning over Ruby Riott. Okay, that's good. We're going to see her moving along with other stuff. But again, Jinder Mahal wins. Andrade wins over Apollo Crews by referee stoppage. We now Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. We're seeing them. They're not doing much else, but right now we have Two Fly Crew is the name of this group now. Fantastic. That's what we had. That's what we got for that show. I mean, really, that's what we got for Raw. And the SmackDown, do we get anything else that the WWE would really have given us that was like so spectacular and like people will be talking about right now? That will be the talk. Even under quarantine, we will be talking about it so much. It will be such a buzz. There's a reason why wrestling Twitter is so quiet. Because when you look, Triple H's 25th anniversary, no one cared. Nobody cared. King Corbin advancing to Money in the Bank, Sheamus over a jobber, I mean, and listen, Daniel Vidot, okay, whatever it is. Recruits for Performance Center, squash matches, good for them. Miz and Morrison lose to Lucha House Party is crazy. Now, the Sasha Bailey stuff is somewhat amusing. I mean, it's predictable. We see that Sasha and Bailey are going to be at each other's throats once again. Is it going to matter? Break them up to make them up to break them up. Okay, whatever. And then the tag champs on the women's side, don't care. Don't care. I mean, Carmella doing impressions of the other wrestlers on Twitter is much more entertaining than anything we're seeing right now with any of these tag team matches for the women's side. It just is. And then that 25th anniversary thing was horrible. Bad. It does only works for a live crowd, not for this. And we could all see that. And also some of the funny stuff. They're trying to be funny, trying to be goofy, haha. McMahon looks like he's 80 years old now. He looks old on camera. And he was right when he said he shouldn't be on, but here you go. And when you look at the ratings, it drew the lowest audience on Fox. Yep. Barely above 2 million viewers. They're at the lowest of the low right now. And they're not doing anything special to pump it up. And you're also putting out content is live to tape. Like you're not taping stuff in advance. Like you have time to actually put things together and make it look good. But we don't have that yet, do we? And there's nothing else. Like, you remember, what was it? When we were seeing Tyson Fury being brought out, remember all the big names we were going to be bringing back to try to really build things up for the roster because they couldn't get the part-timers. There weren't enough part-timers to work with, and there weren't any other people that were going to go and build up. Well, remember Tyson Fury? We don't hear from him anymore. Cain Velasquez? Released. Well, people were talking all about that. Look at what happened, man. Look at that. At the moment, and the other thing now that people are talking about, is there are a couple of class action lawsuits right now against the company. Dutch Mantel putting out the rumor that ESPN, was it Disney and ESPN are interested in buying the company? Anyways, that's what we got. Nothing else. Nothing much else. Do you want to say that SmackDown lost in the NFL draft? I guess you could, because they had great ratings. But, what else? And at the moment, the company's open to granting talent releases. They're like, hey, you know what? If you want to go and let them go, you can. WrestleVote says that basically if a talent wants out, they can go. So at this point, people are not really expecting much. Anyways. That's pretty much all they're doing. And that's it. Pretty rough for the company. But no, that's what's going on there. And this is where I always talk about the fact that this is why I don't know how people can just be straight up WWE fans and just be establishment fans in the bubble only watching that product when the truth is there's so much else better out there. I mean, let me just run through what's going on. AEW, the last 3 weeks, they've been doing the bubbly bunch. Okay. We get the flim flam. We get them doing songs and basically doing the TikTok stuff. Listen, It's funny. Today we saw the, what was it they called? The Manitoba Melee? I think this is the Don't Rush Challenge. You're seeing that on Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff, or Instagram actually. And it's funny, and Twitter as well, and Facebook. So you're seeing that going on right now. That's a new hashtag. It's been going on for a few weeks now, so it's not that new. But at this point, to see Jericho and the Inner Circle and all the others, and all the cameos they got from from the Incredible Hulk and Jay and Silent Bob, and Kevin Smith and what's his name, Jason Mars or whatever his name is. Those two guys. Like, seeing some of that was actually pretty funny and cool. Britt Baker and her roles of being the rules of being a role model. That was funny. I mean, they're just doing things that are just better. AEW is just, they understand the quarantine bit, and they are doing things with Matt Hardy as Damascus, and they're definitely being creative. I mean, the Young Bucks fighting in a backyard or a match in their house for episode 200 of Being the Elite, and they put highlights in it. That was a highlight last week. People were talking all about that. There was a lot of buzz for that. That actually went viral. That's for MLW. MLW has been giving us good stuff, man. Listen, no MJF. Mance Warner has been a top star they've had over there. Hammerstone's a big deal now. I really enjoy the Dynasty. Richard Holiday, he's getting over to me. I really think he's going to be something special. Dynasty's good. I like it. I like where Alicia Toots going right there doing the backstage interviewing. I think her role's been good. I just think that whole show together is very well done. And even with the AAA Super Series right now they're doing, I enjoy it. They got some good stars there. I even enjoy Injustice. Those guys are like, 150 pounds soaking wet each, and they're good. It's you're working with what you got. And I got to tell you, Court Ballard does a pretty good job with those guys they got over there. Very interesting. And then Impact Wrestling is just doing a better job as well, because I've enjoyed Tessa Blanchard's run as champion. I think she's been doing great. I think the whole story with Eddie Edwards and Michael Elgin, it's a good way to kind of tie those two in after all was said and done. I mean, that was good. I enjoy all the Undead Rome stuff. I think everything with Havoc and Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie and all those, it's all been funny to me. I've enjoyed it all. The North, what a solid tag team. Like, also, they really just, for what they're doing, man, it's solid. Ken Shamrock is relevant. Moose is doing good with his spot here. They take a couple of the people they have in the ECW realm with Rob Van Dam and Rhino and Tommy Dreamer, and they're relevant. They're still getting to use them, and it's working. So I can't knock what they're doing, man. Everybody's kind of working their things out, and they're making sense. And it's really, really good stuff. I'm enjoying all of it. That's where I'm seeing the wrestling right now. But when you look at the ratings right now, across the board, they're not pulling super ratings. When Dark Side of the Ring is getting more buzz than anything else, that's going to be tough. Which I must admit, the Dark Side of the Ring stuff has been pretty good. Dino Bravo was an interesting story. Not overly into it, but it was good for about a good 30 minutes. The Chris Benoit stuff was really amazing. I can't wait till next week when they really bring up the UWF. That's going to be good stuff. They're putting up some good stories. The Jimmy Snuka stuff was very interesting. A whole lot I haven't heard about yet. I just like the stories that are coming out there. That's good for wrestling. But other than that, WWE right now, listen, when you look at Impact and AEW and MLW, they're doing their best right now, and they are putting out their A game across the board. AEW, even without all their roster out there, we're not seeing Lucha Brothers. We don't see Pac. We don't see a number of people. They're working with limited staff. And listen, Chris Jericho and Tony Schiavone has been fantastic together. No Excalibur, no Jim Ross, except for that one match. The Jon Moxley, Jake Hager fight was kind of rough to watch. It wasn't great. They could have also kept that short. Kind of reminded me of Randy Orton and Edge at WrestleMania in a way. But that's what was going on. Like, there was a lot that was going on to kind of hope to get things moving. And I don't know so much. But the efforts being done by those organizations. For Ring of Honor, I don't know. I haven't been following, but I know they've been putting a lot of old content. NWA hasn't had much content because they were banking on Crockett Cup and for tapings after that. So they're not with that. But they have been putting out some stuff, like whatever legacy content they have. I mean, I will say one thing. I understand now why Camille Brick has been booked like she is. I don't think there's anything wrong with her having a cute Southern accent. But I understand why they didn't want her to talk. Like, they didn't even have her really say anything in front of the camera. You just heard her narrating her whole story, and it was a fascinating story. And I like Camille even more now. I like her more than ever. She's awesome. And I think she just has a good resting bitch face, man. She's incredible and very fun to watch and cool to follow on Twitter and other spots, must admit. Which I have to say, that's the other thing that's got to be said about the talent that WWE has. You know, since they're not able to do what they want to do on the shows, like the input, you could tell that MLW has with their people. The same thing with AEW has with their people. Same thing has with Impact Wrestling with their people. Like, you can just see they're having fun and they're doing certain things. But let me tell you, when I look at some of the stars from WWE, like when I saw the Don't Rush Challenge, all the women doing it last week, that was cool as shit. I enjoyed it. And I had Jax, kind of bumping what, I don't forget what song she was doing, but like, she's on TikTok and she's doing her thing and she's a good dancer. She's not bad. She's fun to watch. And some of the guys in the establishment fans don't get TikTok, and I'm like, okay, boomer. But the person to watch for me on TikTok right now and on Twitter these days is Lana. Jesus, she is so good. What a good dancer. I mean, she's just fun to watch. You can just tell she's having fun doing all that stuff, and she's keeping herself relevant. And Carmelo doing the impressions, I'm liking all that. I'm getting more entertainment from social media with these stars than am I anywhere else. That's not good. Again, this is where the company should allow some creative input from their stars. For whatever reason, something to be said about how we're seeing the stars in MLW and AEW and Impact and others, and how they're able to go ahead and let themselves be attached to themselves, be an extension of themselves. But it still comes down to the fact that Vince will not allow that kind of creative freedom. Now, there's a couple of schools of thought with that, because there's the creative freedom that you can say to yourself that, okay, AEW, by doing what they're doing, are they really making much of a difference when it comes to their audience? Well, we don't know yet, because they haven't broken 1 million viewers yet this year, and we're 4 months in. I got that. Impact Wrestling, they're still to build themselves up, but you can just see they're doing stuff that's kind of attachment to themselves, and they're just moving along, which is good. Other than that, MLW also, they're having fun over there. They're just kind of playing along. I mean, seeing LA Park cooking, or, at home with LA Park, that kind of stuff is pretty funny. Like, I like that. Young Bucks doing the stuff from their house, that's pretty good. Like, I mean, there's the thing. We're seeing some people doing some stuff that's interesting. And creative control, creative freedom will get people involved and engaged. So it's like the social media aspect. Like, you see how people engage on social media. Maybe that's one way to get themselves over. But again, creative freedom means that the stars are trying to get themselves over, not necessarily the brand. Meanwhile, the creative team at WWE is trying to get over stars for the sake of the brand. Truth is, there actually should be a mixture of both. Because we already knew that back in the day, the stars that were being put together, when you see The Rock or Austin or Triple H, like, they were extensions of themselves. And then you saw more things happening with them to make them better, right? They did that, but not now. We're not seeing that yet. That's not what's going on. I mean, and that's what is unfortunate. because that would be really helpful to all if we saw more of that happening. Like, if the input that I'm sure some stars have would be allowed to have happen. Like, we're hearing about ideas, but again, how many ideas come out good? And when you think about it, the gimmicks and the characters that some stars are getting, you know, how much are they? I mean, you're making some of these stars play a part they didn't really want to play, but they're just playing the part to the best of their ability. Do you think Lacey Evans really fits well doing the sassy Southern Belle when she's more of a kick-ass military Marine fucking tough chick? Like, don't you want that more? I mean, Becky Lynch, I think, is enjoying her spot, but that's a favoritism. And yes, she has not been on TV that much, so I got to say that as well. But then who else is getting it? Drew McIntyre, he's getting a little more of an extension of himself. He's not doing Shattered Dreams or three-man band and things like that. He's getting to be more of himself. I think he's getting the chance to enjoy himself. Right? But then who else? Who else is really getting the chance to be what they could really be? I mean, I see Baron Corbin can be entertaining doing his cooking and all this stuff. And I can see him, he's got an attitude in the way he talks to people, talks back to fans and stuff when he's like, being a real heel. I can appreciate him being the asshole like he is. Kind of has a little bit of a Randy Orton in him, to be honest. Like the way those guys talk to each other or talk to fans and the way they kind of talk about things, the way they're willing to kind of like just have no filter on what they say, that's good. I'm entertained by that. So maybe we should see more of that. But other than that, who else are we seeing that's really going to stand out? That's going to make us care. I mean, I like the fact that we can see people involved. That's the reason why when you look at what AEW is doing, look at all the stars they have right now and look at what they're building with their brands. Like, I was just reading the other day, it's just like, it's the wrestlers working with each other. When I read that Britt Baker, she wasn't even thinking about turning heel, but it was Kenny Omega's idea we learned about. Really? Great job, Kenny. Good job. When I look at Darby Allin, the whole skateboard thing, you can tell it's an extension of him. It just fits. It's a natural thing. Inner Circle, Sammy Guevara looks like he's having so much fun with that group, bro. The Spanish God, dude, working with Jericho and all those guys, he looks like he's having a great old time. It's fantastic. And I just like I like when you could just tell certain stars are getting to be themselves. And they're getting to kind of apply things that they are definitely normally able to go ahead and do, and they feel comfortable doing. It's a big difference. But for right now, I don't know. I'm not necessarily, I want to be satisfied by it. I want to hope that we can get things better off the ground and say to yourselves, you know what? Let's see these stars get to be what they want to be. I think that was an attachment of what the best of what WWE was. And that's what made it so good. Well, they can get to be an attachment themselves. We're seeing that more and more right now with all that's going on with social media, but it's not happening like we want it. So there you go. So leave it right there. I'm going to leave it right there. Quarantine is real. Day 43. Come back next week on the Wrestling is Real podcast because wrestling needs us.
Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast, brought to you by kingofamazon.com. For more information on how to subscribe to the show, how to share the Wrestling is Real podcast to listeners like you, and check out the latest wrestling headlines, go to wrestlingisreal.com. That's wrestlingisreal.com.